Welcome everybody to Catfish Weekly. Along with Cindy, I'm Lyle, and tonight we welcome Denver Zinn onto the show. Denver, how you doing?
Good, good. Thanks for having me.
Man, I've known you for a long time, but I think the first time that we all got together and had a big time was at Owensboro, Kentucky, and you was fishing a tournament with our old buddy Steve Johnson. And man, we had a blast down there that year.
Yeah, we had a blast. Maybe a little too much fun here and there.
There might have been a little too much fun here and there. You guys caught a great fish down there. We really did have a good time. But that's a place to have a great time.
Oh yeah,
it really is. That year the parking lot was a little tough to find parking at that particular motel, but we did have a wonderful time down there, and you and Steve caught some great fish, done good in the tournament, and some of the things that went on maybe shouldn't have, but it did. And that's kind of the way that works out. But that was the first time you and Steve ever got together, wasn't it?
I mean, honestly, that tournament was right after Rollin Flatties started, and that was my first big time tournament ever. And
Really?
I got a random message one day. I mean, I didn't see it coming, from a guy in California saying, "Hey kid, you want to meet me in Kentucky?"
You guys actually had to borrow a boat, didn't you?
Yeah, one of my buddies, he's actually doing really good for himself right now. Justin Fisher, he's now part owner of Tackling Cats, but at the time, he was one of like our second wave of people coming into the whole team, and he's like, okay, well, just take my boat, man. And so we did. So I borrowed a boat, and then at that time I had a tiny little truck, and so I was like, hey Dad, can I borrow your truck? Went down there, met some guy I've never met before, haven't really talked too much before, Steve Johnson, and got down there, and wow, my mind was blown. I mean, and honestly, that was, I was extremely passionate about the sport and fishing, but I mean, that was my first true experience to see where it's gone and how big it is, gotten at this point.
Since that day.
Oh,
it exploded. Joey Kirby says you was soaking wet when he seen you that day at that tournament.
Yeah, I was, let's see, in the first 10 minutes we were there, I believe I was in the water almost up to my neck, holding the boat from bashing up against the rocks. Had to sit in that, and if you remember that day, it was nice all week, and then it kicked up. I mean, it was crashing like 1 and 2 footers on the launch there, and it was cold. And
you guys were going to go out with you being wet like that. And you finally told Steve you couldn't take it.
I was trying to tough it out, after being in the water for about 45 minutes, with I didn't have a full set of thick clothes to replace it. And I remember just sitting there convulsing. I looked at him, I was like, you're going to hate me.
Yeah, but that's the smart thing to do.
Right. But I told him, I'm better safe than sorry. Literally flew back to the hotel, came running back, and me and Steve, this being our first experience together, still feeling each other out. There was a little bit of tension in the air, one might say. And I looked at him, and he looked at me, and I told him, like, listen, man, this is one of them things, and the only thing that's gonna shake this off the boat is to get right out there and put you on a good fish. You came a long way, and I feel like I had to do my job to save the day a little bit, and sure enough, we started the tournament a half hour late and kind of found a little nook. We kind of stopped the bickering and got back to work. And I'm not joking, I didn't even have my second rod in the water, and I looked over and I was like, "You're already snagged." And he's like, "That's suspended about 15 foot off the bottom."
Yeah.
His rod's bent over, tips in the water. He reels out. First 5 minutes we're there, and catches himself like a 30s class fish. I mean, it was a nice flathead. Yeah. It was a miracle.
It was. That was a lifesaver for you guys. The whole morning was forgotten about then.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've been swimming back to the launch, and I put them on a good one.
Joey is back in here with another comment. He says, Steve just laughed and said, you can't tell these kids nothing.
Oh, yeah.
I've talked to Steve about that a number of times since then, and he laughs about it. But I know that there was a little bit going on that morning, but it was a good time for you guys. And when I seen you later that day, everybody was smiling, and it was all good. But that was a great fish, and I'm not sure that that time that wasn't Steve's biggest catfish ever.
I know he's caught some bigger blues, but at the time it was up for grabs whether or not it was as big as flathead, and it was interesting for me to see because I mean just being kind of new to the whole blues game, and suspending and all that. I mean, to have it 15 foot off the bottom, last thing I thought was going to come up and snatch it was a big old flathead, and proved me wrong.
Well, it was great to see, and I was happy for both of you. And I know you guys had a good time that day, and it made for a wonderful time as it turned out. But things happen, and sometimes they happen for reasons that we can't see at the time. But as it turned out, it worked out.
Yeah, I mean, that trip was probably the trip that solidified the path that we were going to kind of take, and I mean, I'll never forget that weekend because there's just so much to remember from that weekend.
Well, sure.
It was amazing.
All of us standing outside the motel there and BSing, and that's just something that happens at all the big events.
Got kicked out of the
out down there at the
hotel.
The hotel, for being too loud, and
that's Stacy's fault.
That is Stacy's fault. We'll have to blame her for that. But, that's it was a great time. It always is. But
well, perhaps the biggest thing that I'll take away from that event was me being kind of like new to the whole the big stage of catfishing, and just throughout the years, I mean, I didn't grow up where there was flatheads or blues, and I grew up in Northeast Ohio where the only thing we have is channel cats unless you want to drive a considerable distance to go get them, consistently at least. I know there's plenty of lake fishermen around here that do pretty good, but still being new to it, I was doing my research, looking up videos of all these guys and all my heroes in the sport, and then get down there and I'm sitting there sharing stories with these people that I've looked up to for so long, and just took it and ran with it and tried to pick everybody's brain as much as possible. It was amazing.
And that's how you get to see all them guys and get introduced to them, and they'll all sit around and talk to you and carry on, and it just makes for a fun time. It really does.
Oh yeah.
Tell us how you come up with the Rollin Flatties. That was the beginning of all this, was the Rollin Flatties, and then it was Rollin Blues, and then Rollin Channels, and now you got a whole bunch of new stuff that you was telling me about before, but the Rollin Flatties was how this all got started.
Right. Well, I mean, honestly, it's a pretty humble upbringing as far as the truth of where we come from. It was just a group of 4 buddies that always loved to fish, and then once we kind of took it to the next level, like the adventure aspect, we started traveling all over just to fish, fun fish. I never even knew there was tournaments when I started figuring out flathead fishing, and then we started all over southern Ohio, and then eventually ended up in Steubenville and started fishing our first tournament series. It took a couple of strikeouts and for us to keep doing better at our game, but our first tournament was actually won out of a 10-foot dinghy that had a 5.5 horse on it, and it used to be red, I'm guessing, at one point, but it faded to pink. And out there with the big boys, but in the beginning we kind of wanted to prove the point that it's not about what you have versus what you know, and did our homework and came up with a good game plan and made it happen. And then from then on, it was like, okay, I love this tournament thing. We're all competitive up here as friends, and then it kind of grew into this huge network. And then we decided, okay, let's come out with like our own team and see how it did. And won a few tournaments, started doing good, and started talking with the heart of where it all started, which is the tri-state area of like Ohio, PA, and West Virginia, and grabbed some of the big name guys, like Joe Granada, Graham Maxwell, and I had met one of our guys that was actually a part of the first wave at that Monsters on the Ohio tournament was one of our guys in Kansas, Jason Bush. And so we went for about a year on that, just Rollin Flatties, and Jason's more of a blues guy, so he kind of shot around the idea of, okay, well, maybe we should make a Rollin Blues team, and there's plenty of people around here that specifically target channels, so why don't we knock out all 3 species, and then it went from 4 guys to 11 guys, and then when we launched Rollin Blues, I believe we're at 63 members now nationwide. We cover California to the East Coast, from Texas all the way up to here on the North Coast. It's kind of amazing to see where it was to where it is now, and now there's even bigger things and on the horizon, and we're just going to keep pushing it.
That's awesome, man. It really is. I remember we was talking about that Owensboro tournament down there, and Jason Bush was parked next to the dumpster working on his boat down there that year. I don't remember now what he was working on, but I believe it was something electrical, if I remember correctly.
Oh, yeah.
But
yeah.
he was back in next to that dumpster. But
he's had some troubles with that boat, but
yes,
surprisingly,
still got it or not.
Well, surprisingly, he ended up selling that boat to another one of our guys, Justin Arthur on the Rollin Flatties team.
Okay.
Did some motor work to it, and it was a beautiful crestliner. If you could remember that boat, it was, it's the only one that ever looked like it that I've seen.
Yeah, we had the board stuff on it.
Right. So we kept it in the family. Justin Arthur, if you're out there, I hope you're enjoying it.
Heck yeah. He didn't have it very long. He had to put a motor on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and then he had a couple mishaps after that, but he's got a new crestliner now, and that's a sharp boat.
Good. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm sure I will before the year's over.
Oh yeah.
We got a whole bunch of people in chat. Looks like everybody's hanging out and getting stuff done. We got Mike Chavez, Kentucky Catfishing, Joe Buck, Lisa Haraway, Justin's Fishing Fetish, Avid Fisherman, Muskrat Adventure, Sonny Parker, Mike Chavez. Bunch of guys in there tonight. And ladies. Jay's Catfishing, Outdoor Addiction. Rick Jennings. Well, I'm glad to see that you got all this stuff going on down there. When you started that with the Rollin Flatties, of course, nobody knew that you was going to do Rollin Blues and Rollin Channels or anything else, So it kind of caught everybody off guard, and all the stuff that you've got going. There's no telling how far this can go at this point, and you can do so much other stuff. It's just a matter of how far you want to take it now.
Right. And, I mean, we've had some recent developments and kind of ideas that were being shot to us, including multiple different species, not even down to catfishing, and honestly, not even down to just fishing. We've had some inquiries about, possibly touching into the hunting world. The guys mentioned rolling muleys and rolling elk and rolling whitetails, and and I, throughout the years and promoting and everything, social media has been a crazy way to connect with people from all different walks of life. Quite literally, I mean, I've got a bunch of people in Europe that I've been talking to a lot more lately, and then the question's been brought up, possibly doing a Rollin Wells team out there in Spain and Italy. So
that would be way cool.
That would be so cool. I mean, honestly, I'd go over there just to catch a Wells cat. That would be it's like a fishing trip of a lifetime for me. That'd be awesome.
It would. How many people do you think that you could get involved with a team overseas like that?
Um, just by doing some of my research and just digging a little deep, they're experiencing over there kind of exactly what we're experiencing over here with the popularity and the explosion of you know catfish madness. I mean, they love it over there, and because it came into the spotlight, with TV shows and stuff like that. I mean, it really exploded the industry over there, and they're doing really well. And they're doing a lot of things that we're doing over here. Obviously, it's hard to make a live well to fit a 8-foot fish in there, but they're same style, tournaments. People are getting involved, creating teams, and it's really kind of cool to see, from our aspect, how it's going over there. It's kind of pretty much a mirror image of how catfishing is going over here in the United States.
Yeah, I agree. But I know that they've got giants over there, but I really, after the experience we've had with the Asian carp, I hope they keep them over there, because if they would come over here and do to our
Right.
waters what the Asian carp has done, we don't need anything else like that over here.
No.
We've had enough of that kind of stuff go on, because at this point, I don't ever see them getting rid of them Asian carp. I don't care what they do. I don't think they can ever get rid of them. They've now become a natural bait source for catfish, and catfish basically is the only deterrent we've got to get rid of them. And they grow so fast, they can only eat a certain amount of them before they get so big that the catfish can't eat them. So
Right.
I don't want them to bring anything like that over. But as nice as and much fun as it would be to go catch a Wells catfish, personally, I would rather go to Brazil and catch a couple of the red tail, and there's another kind down there that gets
Oh yeah.
bigger. But those red tail are gorgeous, and I would love to catch one of those. I don't know if they eat them. I'm sure they do down there, but I'm not so much into eating them. But a replica of one of them would be awesome.
Oh yeah. Honestly, that is my dream trip, is to go to the Amazon. I mean,
Yep.
not species specific, just to go. That'd be
Well,
one in a million. That'd be sweet.
Well, Denver, for me, you could go down there, and the trips to the Amazon are very reasonable. And
Right.
once you get there, that's your biggest expense, and then they take you out on a houseboat, and you stay self-contained on that houseboat. You live on it for however long your trip is, and they take you out on your fishing trips on a smaller boat, and you fish out of that smaller boat. And then they bring you back at night, and then you live on that houseboat, and you take a shower and you eat and all of that. So, yeah, I'm all over that. I think that would be the ultimate trip, and maybe you and I need to look into that at some point.
Hey, give me a call. I'll make my schedule open.
I just think that would be a blast. They say you goes out for 5 days on this huge houseboat. It would be. It's not like one of the tour boats that goes from the coast of Florida to Jamaica or someplace. It's not that big, but it's similar to that. Yeah, everybody has their own rooms and stuff, but they just go up and down the Amazon, and they got fishing boats tied up to the side, and every day you get in that fishing boat and you go out and catch your catfish or whatever species that you're after. Then you come in the evening, you go up in there. The only problem with that is I got to be thinking that the mosquitoes on that would be pretty tough down there on that Amazon.
Oh yeah, you better wear that bug blocker.
Yeah, I'm thinking so, but that would be a blast, and to me that would be the ultimate trip.
Right, if you were to weigh it out, I mean, to be able to catch, multiple species over 100 pounds. Yeah.
Exactly, and that's what I would want. I would want red tail over 100 pounds, and I can't remember what the other
Paraíba.
Yeah, that's it. But you get one of them, and they get up to 200 or 300 pounds.
Oh yeah,
and that would be great too. But a red tail, they're so pretty. I just think that would make for a really great replica, and that's what I would want to specifically go after myself. But either one, replicas are so high, it would be really hard to justify more than one, though.
Well, from some of what I've been seeing, I mean, you might only have to go to Florida to be catching these red tails here in the next few years. I mean, people are catching them. They get too big for their fish tanks and they just let them go. And down there, they've been able to blend in apparently.
Wow, man, that's
Yep.
crazy. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
I've seen some things online and some locals down there catching red tails. It's just
I did not.
even
I haven't
peacock
seen
bass.
any yet.
Oh yeah, people are
That's-
catching them in sewer ditches and stuff like that. I mean, it's crazy.
Well, I hate to see that because that's how this other stuff gets started. Hey,
Right.
Denver, I want to give away some hooks from one of our people that donated some stuff. Pick me out a number between 1 and 5, and let's give away a few.
Let's go with number 1.
Number 1, I love that number. It's one of my favorite. Team Wampus Cat Outdoors. If you will give me a message after the show, I will get you some hooks shipped out. Thanks so much for watching Catfish Weekly. Be sure to message me after the show, and we'll get them shipped out to you. Thank you so much. All right. Get this set up for the next time. Up there. All right. If you guys in chat have any questions for Denver or anything you want to know about Rollin Flatties, Rollin Blues, or Rollin Channels, be sure to get them in here for us. Hey, Junior, how you doing? Thanks for making it into the show tonight. Peel and Drag. Black Chrome 84. Is it Friday yet? Not yet, Sonny. Not yet. So what are your plans for the rest of this year, Denver?
Last year was kind of an odd year for me. We were really, anticipating the launch of Rollin Blues. A lot of guys have been for a while leading up to it, and then I had to build the team. And everybody that's on the team is all handpicked. And when I tell people, what I look for, I mean, I've been looking. I look at more than what you can do just on the water. I look at who you are as a person, who you are off the water. I think those things are just equally as important. And honestly, it's been amazing to see, a bunch of strangers from all different worlds of catfishing. I mean, we've got guides on the team like Trey Thorpe and Zebco Rick with Fishing with Fat, Adam Cook with Nautical Pride Services, Trey Franklin down in Texas with Tight Lines Guide Service, and Chris and Kylie Baldwin. Everybody knows who they are. The big time Kingdom winners, and they're just awesome. They're just
Chris
amazing.
and Kylie are wonderful people too.
Oh, they're awesome. They're awesome. I was fortunate enough to go down there, I believe 2 years ago, and spend some time with them on Texoma, and it was an awesome trip. And we even cover up the north with some of our guides. I mean, we got Timothy Staggs. He runs a Trophy Chasers Guide Service out of Michigan, and that's not even just for catfish. They have they have world-class smallmouth and pike fishing and all that, and it's kind of cool to see. You got guys from that aspect, but you've also got guys that run their own groups, kind of like what Rollin Flatties is. I mean, there's you got Loveless Catfishing. The Lovelaces, they're phenomenal folks. I mean, and he knows what I'm talking about, but they're always willing to give a helping hand and be there for each other. And even chasing whiskers on the East Coast, you got Team Ridge Runner, Justin Arthur and Kevin Childress. They're phenomenal anglers. I mean, they're always out there doing great in tournaments and even just fun fishing. They're just always on the fish, and and then you have other guys that don't even tournament fish. And when I said I wanted to cover the entire array of what catfishing is, it didn't mean just go find the biggest names out there. I wanted the guys that are bank fishing. I wanted the guys that are just recreational fishermen, but I wanted the hungriest ones of all of them. And most of these guys, I mean, they're just out there getting it. I'm proud. I'm extremely proud of how everybody's kind of come together, and you bring 60 plus strangers together, and it kind of warped into like a big family type setting. You know, all of a sudden now you got some of these guys are booking trips and plane tickets to go fish with these other guys, you know, fishing with, you know, different groups of people in tournaments all over the country. It's kind of really amazing to see. And honestly, just some of their own accomplishments, you know, just personal things. I know on our Rollin Channels team, we got Sean Dauphin and Craig Williams. Sean was formerly the director of Central Ohio Catfishing. Him and Craig Williams were still our fishing partners, but they came out with Autoline rod racks. I mean, and they have a phenomenal product out there. You know, it's really cool to kind of just see the millions of different aspects that kind of bring everything into one big thing. And it's, you know, and I'm just happy that everybody's, you know, stuck together, stuck with me, you know, and everybody's all for, you know, pushing this thing as far as it could possibly go.
Absolutely. I have some questions for you. Which do you prefer, mono or braid?
Well, I am definitely a braid guy. I've just, you know, and actually I still catch flack for it, but, you know, on more than just a couple occasions, I'll run braid leaders. If the situation arises, I just, you know, I don't like the stretch. I don't like the give in it. You know, I got 80-pound braid wrapped up on everything, and that's just kind of how I roll. And I know that guys that I fish with, tournament fish with, I love the fact that they don't, you know.
Yeah, me too.
For me is not necessarily what's going to work for the next guy, and you know, and then you're both crazy, but it always works. I mean, I love seeing everybody's different aspects of it.
Yep, I do too. And but I do like my braid. I really do. Let's see, where's some more at? Let's see here.
What's his personal best? Flat and blue.
What's your personal best flathead and blue?
Personal best flathead, official on scales was, I believe, 38.8. Not a gigantic one, but definitely a good fish. It was, cool. And it was a part of it was part of one of the craziest wins we've ever had, actually. We bought a boat without ever testing it or seeing it on the way to a tournament, get it in the water, fired right up, like perfect. We're hauling right down the middle of the river, and all of a sudden the motor cuts out, and it never started again after that. So we had to paddle downstream about a quarter mile to get to our spot, and then had to stop about an hour early to paddle our boat upstream in the Ohio River about about 3/4 of a mile, and rode our way to victory and my personal best.
Wow, that's crazy.
It actually paid off the boat in the same trip because we won the tournament.
That's awesome. Chad Wall wants to know, how far are you from the Maumee River?
I am about 2.5, 3 hours. That's Western Ohio, and I'm on the east side. I'm about 30 minutes east of Cleveland.
Okay. Rick Jennings wants to know if Trey Thorpe is a member.
Trey Thorpe is a member.
Okay. Lisa Haraway wants to know, how do you catch a flatty? She's never caught one. She needs tips. Just blues and channel cats for her.
That's a good question. Just like anything in catfishing, you're going to have your guys that have their preferences. My preference, you know, I like using big live bait. That is like my favorite thing to go to. But you know, certain times of the year, yeah, and under certain conditions, it's definitely, you know, more productive to use cut bait. But as far as flathead fishing goes, I feel like they're a little bit more pickier. So I like to try to match whatever natural food sources in that area is what I'm using for live bait and cut bait. You know, I know a lot of guys, you know, do really well up here in some of our pools on skipjack, even though that they don't have skipjack running through the waters. But I've always had my best luck on natural selective bait.
I agree 100%. Paula Smith left us a message here, and thank you, Paula. Everyone, please keep your prayers for the 2 high school boys and their father that's missing on the TWRA, and that is something that it slipped my mind that I intended on mentioning tonight. Last I knew, they still had not found those 2 boys and the dad. that went through the dam down there. So please keep that family members in your thoughts and prayers. It's went on for quite some time, and chance of survival rate for them boys and that guy is pretty slim, but there's always a chance. But at this time, it's for the family members now, most likely. But please keep the family members and then folks in your thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, I've been following that situation from the very beginning. I mean, that's extremely tough.
It is. Sonny Parker would like to know, what is your rod and reel setup?
I run. I'm a big fan of Warrior Cats. I got introduced to them by some of our guys, Charlie Pitts and Jesse Buzzard, and just working with John Adams. I just love the versatility of a Warrior Cat rod, especially because of I fish for channels up here, so I needed something extremely sensitive, but I'd also be able to take that rod and put in 60-pound fish on the James River. I needed that versatility, and I found Warrior Cats to be the best feel for me. As far as reels go, I run a lot of Akumas. I do have a couple of Penn Fathoms. I just picked up the Penns last year. So I try not to get too much of an opinion too soon. I think the Penn is a phenomenal reel, and Okumas, I mean, just for me, I'm kind of like your average Joe fisherman. I'm not a millionaire, and they produce a great product that won't break the bank. So yeah, I'm running Akumas and Penns.
Very good, very good. Sonny Parker, I was saving that till later on, but we'll go ahead with that right now. And we need to keep Boomer Wilson's family in your thoughts and prayers. That was another, I find that a freak thing. I've known Boomer for years and years and years, and it was very unexpected deal that happened to Boomer Wilson. So please keep his thoughts and his family in your thoughts and prayers. Very, very young age. Mishap there with Boomer, and he has a wife and children. So please keep those folks in your thoughts and prayers also. Kentucky Catfishing wants to know what type of Akuma.
The classic XTs. I just like the classic Pro XTs. I just like them because they're kind of a low profile. I don't really need a really big bulky reel. Especially for the areas that I fish. I mean, on the Ohio River, I mean, I usually don't fish spots typically over 40 foot. There are some spots that, it'd be nice to have a good amount of line on your reel. But as far as what I use it for and what I typically do, I think the Classic Pro XTs are phenomenal reels. And like I said earlier, they won't break the bank. So, I mean, it costs a couple bucks to get them refurbed every year, but it's worth it.
That was one thing I was going to ask you about the Akumas. Do the guys that fix the abus and stuff, do they also repair those?
I go through a buddy. He doesn't have like an official setup or anything, but he does all of his own reels, and I've been fortunate enough that he'll just go and get a repair kit online, and I found that the drag on Okumas goes pretty quick, depending on how much you use them, obviously. So it's usually a quick fix, and then I get them lubed up and they're ready to go again.
Do they upgrade the drags on those like they do the abus with the good drag systems?
I believe so.
Okay.
Some of the ones that I had, they're pretty old. I did pretty much lay one to rest last year. I was being an idiot trying to get a snag out and not really. I was pretty much using the reel and not doing it otherwise, and I kind of messed up the reel a little bit. So, I drug that thing through the dirt and tried to destroy it all them years, and I finally succeeded. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mike Lewis, Teen Whisker Tickler, says, Denver, I'm working behind the Rock Hall of Fame. You need to get a hold of me and let's fish after work sometime. There you go.
All right. Well, I mean, it's still a little chilly up here. I mean, we might be able to get some channel cats to bite. Right now, the big thing up here, everybody's all the walleye are really in close on Lake Erie, and you still have your steelhead making their run in and out. So yeah, man, get a hold of me. We'll go chase some fish. I got some free time this week.
Heck yeah, man. That sounds like a plan. I have to tell you, though, we're looking at some 60-degree weather coming up here, and I'm excited about that. Philip Ward says, do you fish Lake Erie for catfish or flathead?
Honestly, that's been a big ongoing debate on whether or not there's flathead in Lake Erie. I personally have never seen one officially caught out of Lake Erie. But on the western basin by like Sandusky and the Maumee and all that, there's reports of them being caught. I just, being on my side of Ohio, I've never seen one, up here. But as far as channel catfishing goes, it is, especially for our area of the country, it's really hard to beat Lake Erie and its tributaries. I mean, you're talking, on any given night you could go out there, whether it's sheet of glass or 5-footers, and you can put 10 fish in the boat over 10 pounds like it's nothing. But it's just like fishing. I mean, I held a tournament up here, and everybody was cranking out monsters, pre-fishing for it and prepping for it, and you're talking doubles and triples, and then the only 2 teams to finish with all 5 fish were the first and second team. So I mean, it's just gotta, just like anything, fishing's fishing.
Yeah, that's right. Hey,
Anchor above the-
I got to stop everything right here. Dieter Melhorn has arrived.
Oh boy.
Dieter Melhorn has arrived. So I just wanted to mention that. So many people does not understand how important it is, but when Dieter Melhorn makes the show, that's a big deal. We're always happy to see Dieter when he gets in here. He's such a delight. Never has anything bad to say about anybody or anything. We just love Dieter.
bumping her anchor.
Bumping or anchor? When you're fishing, do you bump or anchor fish?
It depends on the species and the situation. On Lake Erie, I anchor fish mainly, but I've drifted and done plenty well. It's just a different breed up here on Lake Erie. I mean, because the only catfish that you're going to catch are channels, and there's a lot of them. And Sandusky Bay, I mean, it's nothing to go out there and catch 10 fish over 15 pounds. And honestly, my first time, it was me and Justin Fisher. We went out to fish a tournament. We ran out of bait almost. I mean, we probably caught 80 fish in an 8-hour tournament.
I did not know you was that far north.
Oh,
You're way up there.
I have had 3 houses, and I've never lived farther than a mile away from the lake, and I'm not joking. I mean, I'm right there, and then you got Lake Erie in Canada.
Wow, I did not know you was that far up there. I really didn't.
I know. I moved south by you guys.
Well, we were way south compared to you, and we're not that far south, but we're way south compared to you.
Oh yeah,
way south. So.
Yeah, it takes me at the closest point. I mean, all these years of traveling, and a lot of people know me from fishing on the Ohio River.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know is minimum it's 2.5 hours, and typically it's 3.5 hours just to get down there every week.
That's nuts, man.
Hey, passion knows no distance, and that is God's honest truth.
That's right. Dieter says he's sorry for being late, but he was working the Trump rally for Fox News. A good day of work. Bless your heart, Dieter.
Yeah. That's my boy.
We got to stay on old Dieter, man. We really do. Man, what a mess. What a mess. Yeah. Well, like I say, I didn't know that you was that close, that far north. I did not know. I knew that you was way up there, but I didn't know that you was quite that far. So that kind of caught me off guard, that particular comment about that. I just didn't, for whatever reason, I guess I never asked you, or you never told me, or whatever. That's way up there, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing is like I go to everybody else's backyard, but
Nobody comes up here where you're at, do they?
they're fishing channel cats with me. I don't know why. You got to show them some.
I have always heard that the channel cat fishing on Erie is outstanding.
Honestly, yeah, even past just Lake Erie. I mean, Northern Ohio in general has some phenomenal lakes. You got Mosquito Lake. You can catch some monster channels in, as well as massive flatheads in there. And honestly, probably one of the funnest places that I go is Pymatuming Lake, which is where I'm actually holding the Rollin Nation Spring Fling this year. It's going to be on May 16th and 17th from 7 p.m. on the 16th to 7 a.m. 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. on Sunday.
Now, so, is this a members only type thing, or is this open to the public?
It's open to the public. It's got a really strong local following there. I've seen tournaments done that have exceeded 50 teams just on that lake, and that is surprising also, because it's a restricted lake, and it's definitely hard to pull people to travel all these distances from out of state, and to fish a restricted lake. But I believe people are going to see after this tournament what that lake is all about. And I mean, I've never gone to that lake in any tournament and caught less than 30 fish. And
wow.
When you're out there calling 10, 11 pound channels, you get a 10-pound channel on, that's a good fighting fish. And if you were to put them up pound for pound, I would honestly take a 50-pound channel cat to kick the crap out of a 50-pound blue and a flathead.
Oh, I agree. Channel cat fishing is one of my favorite things. And the guys say, well, I want to catch the giants. Well, pound for pound, them channel cat fight harder than anything. All-American Catfish Tournaments is in the house tonight. Welcome, Tim and Uzi. Glad to have you in here. Tim says, can you send me those dates, Denver?
Yes, sir. I'll get them over to you, Tim Berger.
Yeah, that would be great. I think going up there would be a blast. Now, when you say restricted lakes, explain that, because in where I come from, that means 10 horsepower or less motors.
I believe this lake is a 20 horse restriction.
Okay. Now, if you have a giant motor on the back and a small kicker motor, can you run the kicker motor as long as you don't use the big motor, or
of course
motor?
Of course. And that's the thing about this lake is I do allow a trailering on this lake. I'll go over the details, prior to launch, but that helps people, especially it being a restricted lake, to kind of get to their spots and spread out a little bit. And it's not a huge lake, so there's really not that much drive time for any place that you're going to go. And as long as your big main motor is tilled up or in the up position, prop out of the water, you're going to be fine. Nobody's going to say anything. And we've had plenty of people just go out there with just trolling motors, because honestly, in this particular lake, to me, it doesn't matter where you go, you're going to catch fish. It's an unbelievable channel cat fishery. It does hold flatheads. It's a little stubborn with coughing them up, but it does hold a population of flatheads in there that I've seen pictures of. They exceed 30 pounds. But
now this catch and release.
This is everything that we do is all catch and release. Okay. As far as catfishing goes, I love fish as much as the next guy, and that's all the tournaments are catch and release, and I don't mind eating catfish on the side. Catch a couple eaters, but all of the tournaments that I host are entirely catch and release, no stringers allowed. Mm-hmm. So you must have a suitable live well.
I think that is something that I've been pushing for years and years, and I'm glad to see a lot of the tournament directors have now put that in their rules and regulations, that you must have a suitable live well. Right. We're past the times of stringers and decoy bags and stuff like that.
Right.
We got to have suitable stuff in these boats to take care of these fish.
Right. And an interesting aspect about this tournament is, like I said, a lot of the following on this lake is a local following. And, a lot of these guys are used to the old way. You bring your fish in with stringers and stuff like that. And a lot of the guys bank fish. And, we kind of met in the middle, kind of putting this thing together is I'm going to allow it to be open to bank fishing. But it is still a big necessity that you must have a live well in use. You can't have them on a stringer. You can't have them corralled in the water. You must actually have a working, suitable live well, which will be checked after sign-ins. And
awesome.
So I'm just trying to get more people involved, and especially how it's set up. I have a kids section. We're working on getting trophies for the top 3 placing kids. I made it the 3-person tournament, no age limit, because I think on the flyer I even put, so please bring your children. They're going to be the future of the sport. So we need to really start introducing them into what we love and why we love it. And also to get the women involved. I mean, we're seeing a really big push out of the women's. You got Melinda Folsom running Chick Fight. I mean, along with Ann White, they do such a phenomenal job, and kind of stand for the strength women have in catfishing, and that they have a place, and they're going to keep pushing it. So it's kind of awesome to see. You also got Joanna Renee. She's running Lady Cat Outdoors. They're doing great. They're doing great things out there. So we're gonna have definitely a prize giveaway for the top placing woman too as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I've got everybody in chat gathered up again. I want to give away another pack of hooks. Got another number picked out?
Between 1 and 5?
Sure.
We'll go with 1 again.
All right. Catfish sushi. I'm pretty sure that's what it's supposed to be. They've got it abbreviated, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Just send me a message after the show tonight with your shipping address and correct name, because I'm pretty sure that won't work. And we'll get you a pack shipped out. Thanks so much for watching Catfish Weekly. We appreciate it much. Yeah, I'm interested in that. I think that'd be a great show. I don't to attend. I think that'd be a blast. I would love to go up there. I've not hit the 30-pound mark on a channel cat. I'm really close.
Really?
Really close. I really am. What was that?
29 something.
29.9, I believe. Out of what we caught it on the Cherokee Lake in Wisconsin. I was shocked. It was giant, but when you're that close, I want a 30 now. It's kind of like a 59-pound blue. Then you want the 60, or a 60-pound flathead. Then you want a 70. You're never satisfied.
No.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I would love to have a 30. People talk about big channel cats, and for most people, honest to God, for most people, a 15 to 20-pound channel cat is a giant. And I'm not going to take that away from them. That is a giant channel cat. But when you go to talking 30-pound channel cats, them are studs. They really are. And there's only a few places in the northern hemisphere that you could catch a 30-pound channel cat. And to me, I would as soon catch a 30-pound channel cat as I would an 80 or 90-pound blue. They just fight that hard. They're that much fun to catch. And I know I've caught some giant blues over the years. I've not caught a 100-pounder, but as I get older, for some reason the channel cats intrigue me more now than they ever did before. Especially the big ones, the 25s and 30s and stuff like that. They really do.
Right. I mean, and Honestly, the first three places that come to my mind that you could definitely catch a 30-pounder would be Clear Lake, California. Our
Yep.
buddy Steve lives right there.
Yep.
And every year they do their derby, somebody turns in a 30 plus every year, and you always hear folks talking about the Red River.
I've been to the Red River, and I never got anyways near the close to a 30-pounder up there.
I know somebody in a couple of Canadian waters, and they're always slamming giants. It's amazing to watch.
Yeah, and I've not been to the Canadian side, but I've been on to the Red River on the United States side, and we didn't get close to it. We caught great fish, but nothing close to that.
Not elusive 30.
We caught 4 that was over 20 pounds in 30 minutes up there on Cherokee.
Yeah.
That was just unbelievable. All I was doing sitting there is baiting, taking her fish off for her. I mean, slamming them one right after the other. But we had a great time up there for 3 or 4 days, and it's like that every year up there when they're spawning or getting ready to spawn. And Mendota and Cherokee is that's the best I've seen. But I know that there's a lot of other places to go, and that's up there where you're talking about. Sounds like a great time to me.
Oh yeah,
sounds like a great time.
Definitely.
So I'll be wanting to check in on some of that action.
Oh yeah, I'm probably most likely going live for the weigh-ins, and people can see it for themselves. It's I changed the rules compared to some of the tournaments that I fished there. It's going to be a 5-fish limit, and the unique thing about this lake is there is no slot. It is bring in your 5 biggest fish. Period. No overs, no nothing. It just bring in your 5 biggest fish.
Have you done this before there?
I've fished multiple tournaments there. Actually, I fished one series and I won it back to back times over a couple of years, and I just love that lake. I mean, beyond doing really well on it, I just thoroughly enjoy the action. I mean, there's it's hard to find places around me that you can comfortably go and know that you're going to catch 20, 30, 40 fish that night. And I'm not talking just dinks. I'm talking quality fish. And I believe last year, I won one of the tournaments last year, and then the one I wasn't able to attend, somebody actually broke my lake tournament record. So go figure. I got to go back this year and go get it back.
Wow. This a day tournament or a night tournament?
It's a nighttime tournament. It's going to be held May 16th. Weigh-ins or sign-ins are going to start at 4 that day. We're going to do everybody launches at the premises at 7:00 p.m. and that'll go till 7:00 a.m. May 17th, Sunday.
Okay, and what will the temperatures be that time of the day?
Well, this is Ohio and PA, so I'd love to sit here and tell you that it could be possibly 70 degrees, but it could also at the same time be 30 degrees. So you just never know up here. They got a saying up here: if you don't like the weather, just wait 5 minutes. But yeah, I'm expecting good temps. And even if not, I know that the fish actually start getting really worked up at, even in cold water temps. Last year we fished the opener and there was no leaves on the trees. It was really cold first thing in the morning. But when you get on the fish, you're going to get warm real quick because you're going to be on it.
What do you use for bait up there that time of the year?
Oh, I gotta give away some secrets now.
Well, is shad up there? Is it prevalent, or do you have to use bluegill? Or
honestly, I have no problem telling people what I do and how I do it. I can honestly say that this is one of the only bodies of water I've ever fished, and I'll be quite honest. I will rarely throw a sinker out, if ever. And it's one of those strange places where like the spots that you're seeing holding fish are going to be holding fish year round. Because and on top of that, I've never seen a population of fish move like a wolf pack. And I think a lot of it is because they don't really have that many natural predators on that lake. So that once they reach like 8 to 10 pounds, they turn into a straight up apex predator. And to catch these channel cats in this tournament, I can honestly say that most of my biggest have all come out of live chubs and suckers, no less than 8 inches in length. And we're talking channel catfishing. And I run them under bobbers between 1 and 3 foot, fishing 1 to 6 foot of water.
Do you have to catch the bait yourself, or is it available to be bought?
Well, there's a place called Robinson's. These guys do a phenomenal job. They're actually going to be at the tournament. They drive around a big water truck, and we could put all of the fish into the water truck and have them safely, push to the water and then let go. But they sell live suckers at every event. But me personally, I have the Grand River by me and Lake Erie. The reason why I tell people I live in the bait capital of the world is because there's very few predators here that eat them. I mean, it's nothing to go out and catch 20, 30 suckers in a day in a short, really short trip. I've done pretty good on bluegills up there, but just to me, suckers and chubs, it's where it's at on that lake, and I float everything. I don't usually go on the bottom with anything, and it's strange, especially talking. I'm always willing to help people out and tell people what I do and how I do it, and I'll talk to a lot of locals that the typical mindset is, just throw cut bait or chicken liver and worms and throw them on the bottom. But I went completely the opposite way and found a lot of success going with the bigger live baits with a completely different approach to it.
Awesome. Man, that sounds like a great, we hadn't really talked about going this way towards your tournament, but I'm excited about that tournament for you. And that sounds like a really great time. And if we need to get you back on here between now and then to talk about that, let me know, because that just sounds like too much fun. And if we can help you promote that in any way, just let me know, because I think that's a great event. And who doesn't like to catch giant channel cat?
Right. And for a lot of the folks out there that can't attend an event, this Rollin Nations event, we have members out there across the country that are out there doing things and a part of really big tournaments and really good series. The closest one coming up, it's the big King of the James 2.0. Some of our buddies, Zebko Rick, Trey Thorpe, Adam Cook, they're all a part of it. And last year, I'm sure everybody's seen, there was, I think that fish was 98 pounds. The James River is one of those rivers that if you're really excited about catfishing and really trying to push yourself, if you haven't fished the James River, I really hope that everybody just takes that trip just at least once, just to go see what it's about. It's a tidal river, so it'll be going full bore in one direction, and within a half hour, it'll start to slow down and start going full bore in the other direction. It's an unbelievable body of water, and it produces giants with consistency. I'd honestly rank it right up there with Wheeler. It's amazing. But that is on April 4th and 5th. And for anybody out there watching, you can find all the information on jamesriverkings.com.
Very good. Very good. Well, Denver, thank you so much for being our guest on here tonight. And thank you so much for telling us all about your big tournament up there. I'm excited about that tournament for you. And I've enjoyed that part of the show tonight as much as anything, because, like I say, I dearly love those big channel cat, whether it's in a tournament or just catching them. I just love to catch them things. They're a blast to catch, and anybody that doesn't, their heart rate must be way down or something. Because,
yeah, they must not be living.
Yeah, because them channel cat, man, they pound for pound, they got to be one of the hardest fighting inland water fish that there is. I dearly love them, and I want
Amen.
to thank you for coming on the show with us tonight and telling us about Rollin Flatties and Rollin Channels and Rollin Blues and telling us about your tournament. Like I say, if there's anything we can do to help you promote that, be sure to let me know. And man,
Will do.
It's really been fun having you on here. And
Well, thank you so much.
we'll get you back on here if we need to. And thanks a lot for telling everybody about what's going on.
Sounds great. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
All right, Denver. Thank you. Thanks everybody for tuning in tonight. We'll see everybody next Monday night on Catfish Weekly.